friends, and welcome back to my channel. I've got another brand new and beautiful collection on my desk today that I'm going to be creating with. This literally arrived on my doorstep just a few hours ago, but it's the brand new By The Seashore collection from Creative Memories. And it's a very cute theme, as you can see here by the stickers from the collection. I've also got some of the laser cut borders. These look fabulous. And I am just so in love with all of these designer papers, the colors and the prints that feature on these. They are stunning, and I know I'm going to be creating many pages with this collection. But what I really want to talk about and what's going to feature in my layout today is the brand new Embossed Scallop Shell decorative punch. Now, on its own, it's perfect. You get a lovely little scallop shell that comes out embossed. I will just move these papers aside so you can see. But on its own, with this as the seashell, absolutely gorgeous, and you could use this in so many different ways on your layouts. I'll hold that up to the camera and you can see how it actually embosses that little cutout piece as well. So super cute. However, you know me, I love being able to use your punches in heaps of different creative ways. On its own, perfect as a scallop shell. But today, I really want to share with you how you can make these sensational little daisies. And these have all been made with this decorative punch. So these are super simple to make, super fast, and it just adds a really pretty element to your layout. The number one question I get asked when I make little paper flowers, because I sort of like to, you know, bunch them up a little to give them the texture, and I use a little foam square for the center to give that dimension. Do these flatten out in your albums? And the answer is yes, they will flatten a little bit. However, they still add that beautiful dimension and decorative element to your layouts. And it's just, as I said, a fun way, an alternative way that you can use this punch. You don't have to limit yourself to just using a seaside theme. I've got about 1 billion ideas for this punch that I really want to share with you over the coming weeks. But today we're going to be making these sweet little daisies and bringing them together onto a layout. So I'll share with you first how to make these flowers, and then we're going to create a little layout that we can pop them onto. So to make them, you're going to need a few tools. You're going to need your punch, obviously, and you're also going to need your smallest circle, custom cutting system template, and your cutting blades. Okay, so first things first, you need to cut a base for your flower, and that's something that you can anchor your petals to. So I'm going to take my red blade and I've got, it doesn't matter what paper you use for the base because you're not going to see it. So I've just got a little scrap of paper here, and I'm just going to cut one circle from the inside edge with my red blade. Okay, and that's going to be the anchor or the base for your petals. So you need one of those for each flower. Whilst I still have my circle template out, I'm also going to take my blue blade and I'm going to cut another circle, and this is going to be the center of our flower. And I mean, you can use whatever paper or cardstock you like. So that's going to cut for us a smaller circle for the center of our flower. Okay, so that's all you need in regards to your circle template. I'll just turn that blade back into the cap so I don't cut myself. Now for each flower that you create, it takes 5 shells. Okay, so I've already punched one. So I'll punch another 4 from the paper. And then we've just got to do a little bit of modifying in order to be able to bring our flowers together. So the first thing that I like to do, I just take my scissors, and I just found the shell at this size was just a little too wide for, you know, creating these little daisies. So what we're going to do, and you can see you've got your little, I'm not sure if the camera's picking that up, the little embossed lines. But what I'm going to do is remove just that first little scallop, okay, from the shell. So this one here on the left, and I'm also going to remove the one on the right, just using my scissors and just on that angle. And you will see straight away that you're left with an immediate petal shape. Okay, and that's perfect as it is. What I like to do with mine, I actually just cut in between each scallop there. Just being careful that I don't actually remove a piece at all. But I've just cut and separated all through where the embossed markings are on that shell, and already you can see that's left us with a flower petal. So I'm just going to repeat that exact same process for those remaining 4 shells to create our petals for our flower. And you'll find once you get going with these, they're super fast. I think they'll look great on any of your scrapbooking layouts. They'd look perfect on cards, tags, invitations, whatever project that you're working on. If you wanted to add some inking to the edges of each punch piece, you could do that as well, just to highlight them a little bit. Completely up to you. I'm just carefully separating each of those scalloped sections. So remove those outer pieces first. And this is our final piece. Okay, just get my little scraps out of the way. All right, so once you've modified your little shells into petals, I'm going to take that largest circle that we cut together, and I'm using my repositionable tape, and I'm just going to cover that entire circle with repo tape. It'll just make it so much simpler. And then it's simply a matter, you can fluff those little petals up a little bit as you add them, just to separate where we've cut them. But it's just a matter then of following that, each petal around that base that we created with the circle. And you'll find that the 5, you don't have to use 5 if you don't want to. I just liked, you know, that full effect, but I just found 5 worked nicely for my little daisy. So to finish it, we've got our little flower center. I'm going to take a foam square and add that to the center of my flower, like so. So you can make as many or as few of these as you like for your project. I've got quite a few there. I'm not saying that I'm going to use all of these on my layout today, but I just had a lot of fun making these with the different papers. So we'll get started with our layout, and then we can come back and embellish with our little daisies. Now for my layout, I'm going to be working with this gorgeous striped paper as my base. This would probably be my most favorite paper from the pack. So that being said, you're going to see stacks of this in my forthcoming layouts that I create with this collection. I just love it. Love the colors, love the design of it. So my camera just decided it wanted to stop filming. I'm not sure what happened there, But basically I'll walk through what I've done. It just missed one little step. I've got my stripy paper that's going to be the base, and I've just removed the center of that to conserve my paper supply, because I've told you how much I love this paper and I know I will use that off-cut for another project. I just eyeballed it, but I've left about a 2-inch frame going around the outside of that paper. So I'm really sorry. I think the battery just decided to have a little rest, but we're back again. So I'll move that out to the side, and I'm going to work with some red cardstock, and I'm going to layer a couple of pieces together over the top of that frame. So that's why I removed the center, because I didn't want my layout to be too bulky, and I certainly didn't want to waste any of my supply. Now I've got my red cardstock here, and you want to make sure that you've got it perfectly square and in position on your cutting mat. And I have one of the custom cutting system border cutting tools, and I'm going to be working with the one that's got a wavy edge on one side, but we want the side that has this little peak in the center. And for all of our measurements, because this is the edge that we want to cut with today, all of the measurements I give you will be coming from the inside edge of the foot closest to the edge that we want to work with. Okay, so that's the inside edge of these little feet here. And we want to cut the top and the base of our cardstock first, and you just want to hook your border cutting tool over your cutting mat, and I'm going to make sure that these little feet closest to the edge we want are sitting on 1.25 inches. Okay, and we're going to work with our red blade. So this is a full 12 by 12 sheet of red cardstock, and our first measurement is at 1.25, and we're just going to run our little red blade along that track. Just take your time, like so. Now these first 2 strips that we remove, certainly don't throw them away. They are perfect for creating a border for another layout. Now it's very important that you keep this cardstock in position. Okay, so don't move that at all, but we're going to rotate our tool so the peak will be facing up. And again, with the little feet closest to that edge, we're on the inside markings at 1.25 inches. So hook your blade in, and you can remove that base strip as well, like so. Keep your off-cut strip. Next, we're going to cut our left and right sides. Again, don't move your cardstock. And this time we're going to hook our little feet in vertically, but the same deal, you want the inside edge of these little feet here, top and bottom, that's closest to the edge we want at 1.25. Like so, and we'll remove our edge, keeping that in position, and I'm just going to rotate it again so we've got the edge on the right side, and I'm going to make sure those little feet are lined up at the 1.25, and this is our final cut for this cardstock. Okay, and what we're left with is a beautiful decorative frame. So I'll just turn my blade the right side around. That's all we need for our tool. But I'm going to bring back in our little base frame and get that nice and square on the cutting mat. And this piece is going to layer over the top, and it's really simple to get this centered on your layout. You just want to align each corner with those diagonal markings on your cutting mat. Now here's the thing, I'm actually going to add another piece of cardstock over the top of this red, okay? By all means, you can remove the center of this red cardstock because that will again conserve your supply. We certainly don't want to waste anything. I'm not going to use any specific measurement to this. Again, I'm just going to eyeball it. But you want to give yourself plenty of distance from the edge. You don't want to cut it too close to the edge. I've probably left a good, I don't know, 1.5 inches. Just make your way around. Once you've got that first cut to the cardstock, it's easy just to remove that center. Easy peasy, like so. And I can use this small piece for photo mats or for something else. So we're left with our frame. And now we can layer these two pieces together. So get that square on the cutting mat and get your frame where you're happy with where that's sitting. And when you're happy, you can just come in with your adhesive tape and start adhering that down into place. Like so. Looks like we've got a little window frame. Okay, so our final layer, you could use designer paper. I was very tempted to use this beige toned paper. I love it. However, I'm going to stick to good old-fashioned bright white cardstock because there's going to be a lot of colour going on with my completed layout once we add all our decorative elements. So the white background will definitely help that stand out. I'm going to cut this down to 9 inches by 9 inches. Don't throw your scraps. And I'm just using straight blade for this top piece. We can bring our layout back. And this is our final little piece for our background. And I just love the effect that that border tool has given. So simple, but so effective. Okay, when you're happy with where your bright white cardstock sits, or your top base, I mean, you might want to use designer paper. You don't have to use cardstock like I am. You can use your tape, adhesive tape, to stick that down. Okay, so with our background all prepared, now it's time to have some fun. I've got the most perfect themed photos for this collection and I've just printed them out. I've got a cute little 2 by 3 inch size, and then obviously I've got my 6 by 4, but I thought we could have them to the side of our layout like so. And then I've got my laser cut borders. I love these. So many different ones to choose from. But I think we're going to go with the flags because you can see I've got little flags in the background of my photo there. But I think I'd like to add those, like a banner there through the center. And I'm not going to use the full length of this because you do only get one design of each border in the pack, and I don't want to waste any. And this is going to be covered up here with our flowers, so I might just snip that off near this flag here. And then we can bring in some of our blooms, and this is just going to tie it all together down the side here. I don't think I'll map my photos. Again, there's so much going on in this layout, so much color. I think on the white background that they can just sit as they are. So what I'll do, I'm just going to snip my little border here. We'll say just next to this flag, and that shorter piece, I'm sure I'll use that somewhere. That would be perfect, you know, on a photo, on another project. So we're not going to waste that. And we can get our photos stuck into place. So I'm going to use my repo tape, like so. Just stick that to the base there. And then our two smaller little photos can go to the top. Like so. And I think to add our little flags here through the center, I think I'd like to do that with some foam squares, just to have that dimension on my layout. So I'll just add a little one here and there, do a smaller one for the triangles, just to raise that from the page a little. Foam squares can make such a difference to your pages, just creating that depth and that dimension. Like so. I'm just going to center that between the two photos, like the two rows of photos. Okay, so now I can come in with my little flowers and I can get those stuck down into place. Just cascading down the side of our page there. Now when you first stick these down, they can look a little lost, but what will bring it all together is by adding some greenery. And I've stolen these leaves from one of my floral essential embellishment packs. I've gone with the darker green. You all know how much I love my flowers, so I've got plenty of these on hand. If you have one of the old leaf punches, like the 5-leaf punch, which is my absolute favorite, which is no longer available, sadly, you could just, you know, punch some leaves from cardstock. You don't have to use these if you don't want to. But I'm just going to tuck some of these in behind, and you'll see that it just brings everything all together. Just want the tip of those showing. I usually just cut them down that little. Like so. So I want to come in now with my stickers, and we can add just a few little extra embellishments as well. I might add these little starfish, are so cute. So we'll tuck that one in there amongst our flowers. We've got a little smaller one. We'll add up there, just hiding. I'm just going to add now a little title here, Welcome to the Coast. And I think I'll use my foam squares for that. Oh, I've already got to pack it out. Again, just for dimension. I can tuck in above my banner. And we can add a little anchor. That's very cute. Just above it. Little title stickers just to the base here, just to balance that page out. Again with some smaller foam squares. Now I've stolen some of the enamel dots again from the floral essential embellishments, and I'm just going to add those to the center of my little flowers. I might go the little polka dot ones here. Just add a little bit of bling to the page. That completes my little layout for today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing it come together and having a look at this fabulous new collection from Creative Memories, that is By The Seashore, and also just one of the many different ways that you can use this new embossed scallop shell punch. I know you're going to love this so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.